Hello. Hi, hi, hi. Happy Friday. Today, in our 12 days of Christmas gifts, we are talking about boundaries, baby. Boundaries, baby. I talk about it a lot. I've done a lot of Facebook Lives on boundaries because it's really important and it's super hard for crazy busy women to do. But in the Christmas time, and holiday season, it's so happy Hanukkah, by the way. It's so important to know when and how to set boundaries. And a lot of people think boundaries is just the word no, but it's so much more than that because boundaries can be more creative than no. Boundaries really can be about knowing what your priorities are and holding firm to them. It's about making sure that you have time to show up as your best self. It can also be no, but more importantly, there's also yeses on the other side of no to when you're saying no to make space for a yes of something you really want to do. So the thing that is hard for boundaries is when you don't know you're doing something, then it's really hard to stop. So awareness, again, awareness is the first step. I say that over and over and over again in our 10-week program, and the women that we take from overwhelm and burnout and crazy busy to freedom, joy, and success, and knowing who they are, claiming their power, standing on a solid rock foundation of who they are and how they will behave in the world. That's the transition we take. And awareness, intention, and action or conscious choice are the things that we teach them every day. And boundaries is a critical part of that because if you don't know where you're giving away your power, where you're not taking care of yourself, where you've turned into a pleaser and an accommodator instead of standing strong for yourself, then how do you know where you should set boundaries? If you don't know what's important to you, then how do you know how to set boundaries, right? So it's a bigger process than just you should say no more, right? So what I want you to think about in boundaries is again sitting your life in the mix of everything else. Sitting yourself in the putting yourself in the mix of every other responsibility you have and really knowing how you can show up as your best self and making sure as much as you can that you set up circumstances to be able to show up for your best self. A simple example of a boundary, I just talked about it actually with a client right before this Facebook Live about how in my old life, I used to feel like I couldn't say no, that I had to be the person who was there, the fixer, the make things happen girl. And so if somebody wanted to do a meeting, like I had this client that really wanted to do meetings at 7:30 in the morning. And that was what was best for him. And I was like, oh God, I hate mornings. I'm not a morning person. Okay. I try. I'm not. I'm getting better and better at it, but it's still not my sharpest moment is 7:30 in the morning. Not a chance. My personality is not here. My personality and brain starts to show up closer to 8. And so he would say 7:30 and there for so long I kept on saying yes. It wasn't a weekly meeting, but it kept anytime he wanted a meeting, it was 7:30 in the morning. And then one day I started doing the work on myself and started understanding that just because he wants it at 7:30 doesn't mean that that works for me. And so I literally said, I can't do 7:30 and that doesn't work for me. As simple as that. No apology. I can't do 7:30 in the morning and that doesn't work for me. And he goes, okay, how about 9? And I'm like, what? Like, I could have said no this whole friggin' time. I've been getting up at 7:30 and, like, not bringing my best self and struggling through, and all I could have simply said is, "That doesn't work for me." I didn't have to explain why. I didn't have to go into the story, "I'm not a morning person, it would be better." I didn't have to lie and say, "I have a conflict." I just said it didn't work for me. And he's like, "All right, how about 9?" Because I was an important person on that call and he needed me on the call. So let's figure it out. Now, I have said that in my life today where I'll say, I can't do 2 o'clock. I've got a conflict, which is true. I have one that's important. And they come back to me and say, this is the only time this executive can do the call. Is there any way that you can move your other meeting? And now I have more information and I can decide which one's more important. And I'm going to disappoint one person, but I trust myself to know what the right move there is. But most importantly, I have the information to make the choice and the right choice. What happens with us is we make up stories. We're in such pleasing mode, such motor skill mode of going, 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 pleasing, 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 never letting anybody down. Oh my God, wouldn't that be awful? That we're making up stories in our head that we have to do everything that comes our way. When asked, like I used to live by this creed that was killing me, which was, I can, so I should. And guess what? That's a makings for disaster, because then I'm living somebody else's life. I'm living everybody else's version of what works good for them and not the version of what I need and what works good for me. And there is always compromises in those two worlds, but I wasn't even anywhere in the realm. I can, so I should. Should. And that created a very unhappy Marie. And for years, I didn't think that I could change that. And I did. I absolutely changed it. And I set boundaries seamlessly now. I really, really do. And sometimes I get triggered and I'm crabby and something's annoying me. And I have to look and go, what is going on? And I realize I need to set a boundary. So another example of a boundary is stating what you need and having people be able to accommodate that. So I have a friend who constantly cancels at the last minute, and and I set aside time in the weekends for them, and then they cancel at the last minute. And she's an awesome friend. She's got her own stuff going on, but it started to really bother me. And so because it would eat, and then I'd be at the weekend making time and it wasn't happening. And now I didn't have anything to do and I turned down other plans and blah, blah, blah. So my prior self just would get angry and frustrated and disappointed and like, wah, wah, woe was me. And my new self, who takes care of herself and puts her in the mix, says, hey, I would love to do this thing with you for this weekend. Can you do it? And she would say yes. And I knew the possibility. I said, so here's the thing. I need a firm yes or no on Thursday because I've got to buy the tickets or I need to plan for the weekend. So if you could give me a yes or a no on Thursday, I would really appreciate that because I need to plan for myself. And sure enough, come Thursday, she would say, you know what? I can't do it. I'm so sorry, it's going to be closed, or I just still don't know. And then I don't know, but I'll know on Saturday. And I said, okay, then let's just not do it for Saturday because I'm going to go do what I'm going to go find something else to do. What's a better time for you? And I didn't make her angry. I was stating my needs. She was giving me information. We came to a compromise. That is what boundaries can look like. We can also have boundaries of I leave the office at X. Period. Not apologizing, not giving explanations. A story I tell over and over again about the difference between men and women is if a man has to leave early for work in the good old days when we were going into the office and not working from home, but he would simply just say, I have to leave at 4 today. Stop talking. Not an apology, not an explanation, nothing. A woman says, I have to leave at 4 today. Johnny's got a thing. But I've got all my work done. I'll be available after 6 if you need me. You guys just text me. No. You know what that is? Giving away your power. You're a grown ass woman. You're allowed to leave and still get your work done. You've proven yourself. The world's not going to blow up. You don't have to over explain. You don't have to apologize and you don't have to ask for permission. None of the women that I work with, none of them are at a stage in their career in which they have to apologize, ask for permission, or over-explain what they're doing. Because everyone trusts them to be able to get their work done. They've earned that. You're not 20, where you're trying to prove yourself. You've proven yourself. So you can set boundaries for what you need. Right now, during COVID, it is insane. People are on back-to-back Zoom calls, not taking care of themselves, not drinking, not eating because they don't know how to say no. And you can. Guess what? You can. And if you can model for other people what that looks like because everyone is just in motor skills mode. We're all living in such nervousness and scarcity. There's so many layoffs going on that we really feel like we can't say no. We're living in fear. So we're just doing. And what's happening is what I'm hearing from a lot of my clients is that it's not just that people expect immediate answers from an email. People are texting now, which is even more immediate at all hours of the day, on. Now, this has been happening. Work has never been a 9 to 5 thing for several years with emails and decades probably at this point. But that makes boundaries so much more important. And the truth is, you're at a stage in your career where you can say no every once in a while or adjust. So here's what it would look like. Guys, I have back-to-back Zoom meetings today. I'm going to need a break in between so I can get something to eat and be better for everybody. So I need this meeting to move 15 minutes or I'll be on 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later. Now, even in that, I explained it way too much. I can't be on for the first 15 minutes of this Zoom call. I'll be on at 4:15. That's better. That's even more powerful. And they're like, okay. And there will be a time where somebody says, oh, Marie, we really need you on this call at 4 because so-and-so has to leave at 4:30. And we're talking about your area right up front. Great. Okay. I'll figure that out. I'll be there at 4, but I'm going to have to get off early. I don't have to explain. I don't have to apologize. It's what I need. And I can still contribute. I can still be there and I can still maintain my reputation. So what I want you to look at right now in your life is where you are friggin' laid flat, where you are stretched thin, where you are absolutely 100% exhausted. Is there a moment in the day? Is it back-to-back meetings? What is killing you right now? And is there a boundary you can put in place or an adjustment that you can put in place? Yesterday I talked about a simple way to stay in integrity with yourself is to ask what you need and get it. Same with boundaries. Ask what you need and set a boundary to get it. We have to get in the habit of asking for what we need. Knowing what we need, actually, let's go way back. We have to start asking ourselves what we need and knowing what we need in order to get it, period. So I really want you to look at your life and I want you to look at the areas in which you're overwhelmed, in which you're bitchy, in which you're exhausted and in contraction and frustrated, and see if there is some small little boundary that you can adjust to get what you need. Space, quiet, back-to-back meetings. You're not going to be any good for anybody after 5 of them, 4 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them. You need a little break. You need to go walk around the house or jump up and down or get some water or coffee or caffeine or chocolate, something to recharge your battery. You're allowed that. You're allowed that. Actually, it's a law. Like, you have to have breaks. But if you're not going to do it, nobody else is going to do it for you. If I'm not a total fan of Dr. Phil, but what he said is you teach people how to treat you. So of course if you're not creating any needs, then they're going to walk right all over you. And guess whose fault that is? Not theirs, yours. You're a doormat. We don't want you to be a doormat. Women who stand in their power are not their doormats. If you admire a woman out there who walks in a room, owns the room, total badass, she's not asking for permission to leave. She's stating her needs. She's getting them met. And nobody thinks she's weak or not performing or not there when you need her. No, she's there when you need her. But there is so much madness going on with COVID and so many people are working with a tight workforce, and the people that are still lucky enough to have their jobs are working 24/7 harder than they've ever worked, and no break whatsoever. I mean, that commute time that used to be your quiet time to get to the office is now a meeting. So if you're not going to build it in, nobody's building it in for you. If you're not going to set boundaries in your life, everyone's going to take advantage of you, and you're last on the list. And you're, by the way, also giving away your power every time you do that. And you're showing people you don't matter as much as everybody else. She's the girl who will do anything. And so therefore we can take advantage of her. She won't care. We'll call her at 9:00 at night. She won't care. She never cares. But I know women executives and men executives, by the way, men executives. It's like, I'm not going to call them at 9:00 at night. How important is this really? I'll call them in the morning. It can wait. It's because they've earned the respect of having time. But when we're doers and pleasers, we're doers and not executives. We're telling the world and our colleagues, take advantage of us. We don't matter. We don't matter as much as you do. Please take advantage of me. Please take advantage of me. Please take advantage of me. And those type of people are really important in an organization because they get stuff done, but they're rarely promoted for it. Because you almost prove your spot there and they don't want to, you're so important here, you're making so much happen, and people get promoted over you. So there's different ways to earn respect. There's different ways to earn your stripes. There's different ways to earn a promotion than giving up absolutely everything in your life to be there for everybody else, because you're not showing respect to yourself. So you're losing respect of other people. And boundaries is the best way to get back respect for yourself and to others. Okay. I went a minute over. So the gift for today is the gift of boundaries. Look at your life, see where you need to set a boundary. I gave you simple examples of how to do that. Simply say no, see what happens. I can't do that. Don't over apologize. I can't do that. How about this? I can do this, but I can't do that. Stop talking. You can do this. Baby steps to boundaries. Baby steps to boundaries. First, be aware where you're contracted, where you're stressed out. Then see if there's something that needs to adjust. How you can better take care of yourself during the day. Set a boundary. Ask for what you need. Bye. So gift number 3, boundaries, baby. See you tomorrow. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays.